Okay, we've just heard the recommendations from our dear colleagues from the OECD who will participate in the panel. And the one, when I received them on the weekend, that really resonated with me most of all, something I thought we could immediately get working with, is improve Nordic PES cooperation at the expert level and on common challenges. And since I started at Arbetsförmedlingen 2 years ago, I keep thinking, there's not really an active Nordic network among the PES. And whenever I speak with people from the other Nordic PES, they usually think, yeah, we should get this going. And just yesterday, Tiina from Finland said, we should really get this network going for the Nordic PES. So that's a challenge I somehow throw out to us. Hopefully in the coming months, we can really develop some more structured Nordic cooperation amongst the PES, because we already have this at the European level. And that's how I know all my dear colleagues, is through the PES board, the PES network. And I really think, again, because of how similar our conditions and challenges are, that we could learn a lot from each other in the Nordic level. So in the coming months, I hope we can kickstart something. So I'll go straight into the first question to the panelists. And this question is, which specific labor market challenges do you face in your respective countries? And what are you doing to meet these challenges? Do you see a possibility for more Nordic cooperation around any of these challenges? And I'll maybe ask Morten to kick off, because I see him nodding.
Yeah, I'm nodding very much, but I'm not going to give you a surprising answer to this, because I think the challenge that we face in Denmark is, I know it's very much similar to the challenges that we are facing all across Europe, actually, not only in the Nordic countries, and that's the challenge of labor shortage. And in Denmark, we are looking into a challenge in the coming years due to an aging population. It's a quite severe challenge, but we also look at the potentials to a solution to this challenge, because as you might know, the Danish labor market is quite strong, employment is strong, but the reason to this positive development is actually due to foreign labor and due to that more senior people work a longer time. And this Danish positive development hides a challenge that is also part of the solution, actually, because the number of recipients of social benefits, sickness benefits, pre-pension schemes, young people who are challenged on different issues, it's quite stable and it's quite high. So we need to grasp and find a solution on this quite big challenge, and that's part of the solution, I think. And I think this challenge, we can look at our Nordic countries, our Nordic friends, and get an inspiration and know how you tackle those challenges.
Great kickoff by Morten. What do our colleagues from Norway, Finland, and Iceland say?
Well, the situation is pretty much the same in Norway as in Denmark. And we also had to look at the potentials. We have more than 700,000 outside the labor force due to health problems, but some of them for certain can work if we are able to help them into work. And I think it's a possibility for to strengthen the Nordic cooperation. But I think that we have to pick some issues that we debate. For example, we have a reinforced youth guarantee in Norway now, and this is, I think that's also common in other Nordic countries. So we can work on how to help people, young people, in transition from school to work. And we look at our services. We strengthened the capacity to follow up the youngsters, and we also look at how we provide the service, how we provide information, how is the benefits system set up to help them get to work faster. And I think this is topics that can be debated across the borders. But I think pick up the most common questions and debate them, and not every question that's raised. That's not possible.
Tiina?
Yes, thank you, Shawn. It is very easy to agree with Morten and Yngvar on these challenges. I think that demographic challenge is the biggest challenge in Finland's labor market, both on short term and on long term, because of the aging population and low birth rates. It causes a lot of pressure on, especially on healthcare sector, because the need of services grows at the same time when the availability of skilled labor force is weakening. Yesterday, Nordregio presented this map on that predicted working age population in Nordic countries in 2040. And I don't know if you noticed, but on the map, especially some parts of eastern Finland, they were really shining red. And I heard a colleague from one of the regions saying that. He described this situation by saying that in order to address the needs of future labor market and needs of a skilled labor force, to every baby born in that region, along with the birth certificate they give to baby, they could also give an employment contract, permanent employment contract on healthcare sector jobs. So it is a joke, of course, but it describes the situation. So, and of course, this potential on green investments, how to utilize that potential, it needs a new set of skills on labor market. And of course, in Finland, we rely on R&D also, and want to utilize potential in there, and that needs talents too. So these are our challenges in the labor market, where to get skilled labor force and talents, very similar to other Nordic countries. And what we are doing at the moment on public employment services, we are implementing a major reform in the beginning of the next year. Responsibility of public employment services will be transferred to municipalities. And the idea of that reform is that municipalities have they know their job seekers, they know their businesses and what is needed there, so they can bring services more closer to clients, and also combine them with other municipal services like business services and youth services, and also vocational education and training in order to tackle these challenges. We are also we have this talent boost program, which aims to attract foreign talent to Finland by streamlining our processes in working permits and also providing settlement services, etc. It consists of many different measures. And also I would like to mention changes and reforms in labor legislation and also social security benefit system in order to incentivize in hiring and also receiving employment that is offered to job seekers. When it comes to a Nordic cooperation, I think there is a lot we can do together. A lot of good initiatives were mentioned yesterday also, like joint labor market trainings, joint campaigns in marketing possibilities in Nordic labor markets.
Thank you. And finally from Unnur.
Yeah, we in Iceland, we face the same challenges, so I'm not going to repeat that all, because yes, we are facing the challenge of we lack employees in some sectors, as health sector and the technician and database educational people. So we have been trying to attract them to Iceland, but we also face that the young people they are falling out of school, out of job. So we are constantly focusing on young people from 18 to 29 or 30, because we have reorganized our counseling. We are not focusing on the people that, seeking for unemployment benefits for the first 6 months to 12 months. We are focusing on the long-term unemployment people and the young people. And we try to screen for those who we think or might be in danger for long-term unemployment, and we pick them out and offer them exclusive and good counseling immediately. So we are trying to prevent the young people to fall out of the labor market. And we are also putting in work, focusing on the disabled people. We are expecting a new legislation now in the end of the parliament now. We will finish, I think, this week. And there we have a new legislation of how we are for the disabled benefits, and that legislation is focusing on including these people into labor market as much as we can, and that means that we have to find part-time job, and we are trying to reach to the organization of the employers to come and help us to include these people into the labor market. So this is what is the high on the horizon in Iceland now.
Great, thank you very much. And I know that if Maria Hemström Hemmingsson, Director General of Arbetsförmedlingen, was here, she would probably raise a slightly different perspective. As many of you know, the Nordic region is characterized, if we look internationally, by very high labor market participation and very high employment rates. Sweden stands out a bit in that it has higher unemployment rates than our neighbors. At the same time, we have higher participation rates and employment rates than Denmark, Norway, and Finland. So it's, as a labor market economist myself, I would say that really speaks for Sweden being characterized as well by labor shortages, aging population. But in Sweden, the perspective is, as we do have more people on the labor market, a big focus is to reach out even further to the long-term unemployed, to get even more people in employment. So there's a slightly different Swedish perspective on the issue, which I thought I should raise, which Maria would have. And what do our dear friends from the OECD, how do these challenges compare to those faced by other OECD countries? How do other PES tackle these challenges? And we have about 20 minutes left, so we're going to move quickly with 2 more questions after this.
Okay, quick answer then. Indeed, as was also mentioned, that these challenges are not unique to the Nordics. So indeed, similar challenges are there also for the other European countries, for example, but also for the most of the OECD countries. So to some variation. But of course, the mega trends like the green transition, aging, and the digital transition will sooner or later affect everybody. And that's why also at the OECD we try to facilitate exchanging good ideas and pushing these things forward. So we have resources to help the countries. So, for example, their last employment outlook was addressing digitalization. There are papers about digitalization in PES now coming up. One was just out, one later in the year. This year, employment outlook addresses the green transition, and there's also a paper addressing this issue in the public employment services later in the year. But other than that, it's nice to hear that these issues are actively addressed in the Nordics, and this sort of more modern approaches are adopted here and as elsewhere. So you mentioned the helping with people with disabilities to come to the labor market. both in Denmark and in Iceland, and it is an important thing that many countries are going towards more and more. So not having people with disability labeled and staying out of the labor market, but making people abled, or how much are they abled? What can they do? It's not only about part-time jobs, it's a lot about different support measures by the public employment services. And it relates also to the skills. That is a big challenge for the whole labor market. So what kind of skills they should have to perform well within their abilities on the labor market. Maybe just one thing I would like to stress is that indeed yesterday we saw quite a nice overview of the future for the Nordics and how the aging affects the labor force, but also what kind of occupations would be needed in the future. So it's really important to understand actually what kind of skills are needed currently, what skills are needed in the future to actually manage the skills pool. So not just label we have skills shortage, but having actual evidence what is happening, where are we going. So a proper assessment exercise in place so we can actually target the skills development both within the pool of labor we have in our country as well as then seeking for other resources. So maybe there is more scope even for the joint action in the Nordics to have a really good overview of the skills needs in the future and cooperate in this direction.
Great, thank you. We're going to change direction a little bit now. In my 2 years at Arbetsförmedlingen, I think I've received probably 11 or 12 delegations from Denmark, Norway, and Finland, not from Iceland yet. And the focus has often been, a lot of these delegations have come to us because they're facing cost pressure, they're reforming to lower costs. PES and public administration in all Nordic countries face budget pressure to deliver services more efficiently. What are you doing to deliver employment policy in a more cost-effective manner and ensure the most effective policy measures are used? Maybe this time we can start with Unnur, this side.
The digitalization is helping us a lot because we have with digitalization you can work faster, you can focus better, and you can measure, find out what is it that is working in counseling, in helping people to find work. So we have them now implementing a matching program, and I'm really interested in this AI that I saw that Sweden and wasn't Denmark they are working on. So I think we should cooperate on that level, in that, because we are very interested in that. And we have this chatbot, and that saves money and stuff. And that's what we are doing to try to be efficient and use the money as well as we can.
Great, thank you. And let me ask, am I the only person in the room that was really excited when I saw the name of your Galdur, meaning magic in Icelandic?
Yes, we have.
That was wonderful to see.
We had a vote for that in our institution, and this is what the name that was chosen on it. Yeah. And sometimes when it is not going as well as it should be, some people are saying this is a curse that we have named it magic.
Beautiful name. Tiina, what do you say about these issues? I know Finland's been working with them a lot.
Yes, our government has a major task in balancing our public economy and at the same time promoting growth. And we in public employment services are of course doing our part. What we are doing in order to increase effectiveness, efficiency, and cost effectiveness, we are simplifying the legislation. We have quite detailed legislation regarding our service process, the Nordic labor market service model that was mentioned before, and we are simplifying it in order to bring more freedom to provide services. Digitalization and use of AI, of course, are very important. They help us also streamline processes to reduce manual work done by our experts, but also possibilities of AI, how we can enhance our provision of services is very important. Right now we are looking at possibilities of data-based profiling of job seekers, which helps us to target services more based on job seekers' needs. And then I would also like to mention cooperation with different stakeholders and private service producers. I think it's very important that we, in this situation, can pool our resources and also knowledge in order to tackle these challenges in the labor market.
Okay, Norway?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. We know that we won't get much more money. The money will go to pensions. So we have to, and at the same time, we have to improve the services because the needs of labor will increase. So that the way that the efficiency of the measures that we use, the way we're handling the job seekers, we have to be very precise that that's the best we can do. So we have to spend understanding the effects. That's one of our main targets in Norway. And it's all of course, it's also digitalization in Norway. We spend enormously amount of money on it, but it's not straightforward. It costs a lot to build and maintain the systems. So you have to be very sure that you get the gains that's supposed to happen, because we see that when we investigating a new solution, then we will save hundreds of case handlers, but in the end it's not that efficient, and it costs us a lot of money to maintain the system. So how to maintain systems in a proper way should also be something that we can learn from it, so I think. And then this, of course, use of AI and so on. And in Norway, we face that the legislation, the GDPR, and the national legislation is not very clear for us. So that's stopping us, that's hindering us, as said by the OECD. So I think this is something else we can also investigate throughout the Nordic countries, but also with the other European countries. Because I know that a lot of peasants are struggling with the same problems. And then the use of the technology. I think we can learn from each other. We can steal from each other. There's no need to find out everything and by ourselves. But also, is this new technology working as precisely and as good as it's meant to be? That's also something we can look at. For example, we use a profiling system on the job seekers to sort out who's able to take care of themselves or just need online services, online counseling from the case handlers, and who needs face-to-face services. And when we use this very simple profiling, we see that we succeed. We find the right solution for about 70% of the job seekers. In Sweden, they manage 80%, and the best nation they manage 85%. So how to improve algorithms and the solutions is also something that we can work on together, I think.
Absolutely. Finally, Morten.
Yeah, thank you, Shawn. I'll not tell the same solutions as mentioned to the challenges that we are facing in Denmark, which are pretty much the same. As some of you might know, right now an expert panel is working in Denmark, set down by the government, who has the task of addressing budget cuts in around 3 billion Danish kroners out of a baseline of approximately 11 billion kroners. So it's a huge task. I'll share you a bit about the history before that, not the solutions. They will be presented in a few days, but they pretty much sounds like the same that you're working with in the other countries. Denmark has a history of the last 20-30 years in huge investments in the active labor market policies and in the public employment systems. And right now we are one of the most expensive systems in the OECD, I think. So, as I mentioned before, that's a paradox compared to the fact that in these years we haven't been able to rise the participation rate. For instance, right now the pre-pension schemes, the number of people going to pre-pension schemes each year is still recordly high. So it's the last 20 or 30 years we've tried to find a solution, but it's still unresolved. So the solution is to go back and create more cost effectiveness, more simplicity, more room for an individualistic approach, because one of the consequences of these huge investments in very strict active labor market measurements for vulnerable people has been that the whole public employment system is very unpopular in Denmark. So we need to get some dignity, some simplicity, some individualistic approaches combined with, for instance, digitalization, AI solutions into our measurements, and then cut the use of resources, because we need those resources and workforce at other places, for instance.
Great, thanks. And just like two sentences from the OECD.
Maybe two. 1 million.
Two sentences. On what you see, best practices you see in other OECD countries to deliver services in a more cost-effective manner.
Well, just to say that the OECD is a big promoter of evidence-based policies, effectiveness, doing the right thing, efficiency, doing the things right, and cost-effectiveness, doing the right things with the least amount of cost. And this all takes different types of evaluation. So you need the impact evaluations, you need process analysis, you need cost-benefit analysis. So that's what I want to stress. This shouldn't be just buzzwords. You have to also evaluate what you are doing. And this is the best practice across countries, that you build this evidence-based policy-making cycle. You evaluate and you make corrections in your actions based on this evidence.
Yeah, and I think to echo some of this, the same should also be said in the area of digitalization. Digitalization can be part of the solution to many of the challenges that Nordic PES are facing, but this also requires rigorous analysis and evaluation of the outputs that are produced by digital systems through evaluations, process evaluations, as Anne said, and these should be done throughout the entire life cycle of a digital system or an AI system, not just immediately after implementing them, but continuously, to ensure that these models do not degrade over time, and really enforcing feedback loops so that if a problem is identified, you can take corrective action to address these problems. So really, you should just be making sure that the investments in digitalization are not in vain and are just having the desired impacts that you want them to have on PES staff and on PES clients.
Great, thank you. And now we have 5 minutes to wrap up our panel. Final question. All the Nordic countries face a skills challenge to support the green transition. Is there anything Nordic PES can do together to support the green transition? Maybe Tiina can lead off from Finland.
Yes, I think there's a lot we can do together. We are familiar in Finland, for example, what Sweden has done, created this special task force inside Arbetsförmedlingen to tackle these problems. Of course, we are interested in that. I think that sharing knowledge, sharing good practices is of course something we can do in a more structured manner, as you mentioned, Shawn, earlier. But also, I think joint campaigns to attract people not to work in Sweden or to work in Norway or to work in Finland, but to work in Nordic countries. I think Nordic PESs could have a key role in promoting sustainable Nordic careers for people coming here, especially in new jobs that are in green sector.
Great. Yngvar?
Yeah, what I want for most here is we need, in Norway we need an analytical tool to understand, to identify the green jobs, to be able to forecast what's going to happen, because it's difficult otherwise to set in the right measures, to go to the education system and tell them the needs for different kind of educations. So we to identify and understand it, and I think this is not only a problem in Norway, and I think this is something that we can work on together, that could help us a lot.
Great, thanks. I see Morten nodding furiously.
Yeah, we need to take a step back and ask ourselves, what are the green jobs? Can we have a proper answer on that? We need a common taxonomy on the skills needed and what green jobs consists of to predict what are needed in the future. And in this topic, we can use each other's knowledge and share common knowledge and create for instance, a common taxonomy consisting of what green jobs are.
Great, and I take that chance to, Sweden is actually leading the PES Network Working Group on Green Taxonomy to better understand green jobs. And as you'll hear at 10:50 when Ida Rönnblom speaks from the Arbetsförmedlingens office in Skellefteå, when we look at the green transition, it's a bit of, surprise, the real problem might not be the green jobs, it's all of the public sector, healthcare, education jobs around it, which is probably going to be an even greater challenge. Iceland, last word on green transition.
I totally agree with my colleagues here, and we face the same challenges, and I think we don't know what the green jobs will be. The labor market is changing so fast. I'm an old woman, but the AI is now the new. They are the news today, and 10 years or 15 years ago, it was the emails and internet, isn't it? It's all moving so fast. So I think that we should collaborate much more the Nordic country, and we should support each other, and yes, that is the main key, collaboration between the Nordic countries, and then we will build strong, and we can tackle this new world.
Thank you very much. And I'll give 2 sentences to Alva. What can the Nordic countries learn from the OECD to better support the green transition?
Well, I wish I could say that I had a silver bullet to solve the green transition, but unfortunately I don't. But you will be reassured to know that, Nordic countries are not alone in this struggle. Other countries are also noticing and remarking on the challenges associated with not having a common framework and a common language to understand what are green jobs, what are brown jobs, and the criteria associated with these. But really, public employment services should be both proactive and reactive in the green transition. So proactive by, organising policies and measures to try and be proactively addressing the challenges of the green transition, for example, through hiring supports to encourage employment in greener sectors. But public employment services ultimately will also need to be reactive in supporting those individuals that have been displaced as a result of the green transition and its impacts on brown sectors. But I think really there could be a role for AI here in enhancing things like skills anticipation activities, and then also linking these learnings with the trainings and the measures that you are implementing within public employment services. But there's definitely a role for collaboration on these issues in the Nordic region and beyond.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thanks to Anne, Alve, and of course to Morten, Yngvar, Tiina, and Unnur, who we meet a lot in the PEST network. I hope we get to meet more in a Nordic network in the coming months, years. I think a great panel discussion worth a round of applause.